Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyat Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are looking at the obstacles for spiritual realization or self-realization, and in that the major obstacle is the objectification of Brahman. That means I am looking for Brahman without realizing that I am that Brahman. So as long as I am looking for externally outside, I will never find it, because I have not discovered it only becomes a Paroksha Jnanam, and Aparoksha Jnanam is you are that total, because it's not something to find but something to recognize, and it's not an experience like any other experiences. It's a very recognition, because there is never a time I don't experience myself, but I don't understand myself as I am in truth. I take myself what I am not as I am. Therefore it is just a clear understanding of my nature of I am. And even though this is taught in the class that you are that still remains as a Paroksha Jnanam, because I am still looking for it, and because of the remaining Raga Dveshas. Hence the scriptures says you have to do Nididhyasanam. And most important of the two aspects of Nididhyasanam are essentially giving up our attachments to the objects outside, because of the raga. So whenever the thought arises about the objective world, you have to discard it with a discriminative intellect. So a sannyasa is recommended. Sannyasa is involving understanding that I cannot depend on them for my happiness. That's basically is sannyasa. And the attachment to the higher values, that is an inquiring about the own self, becomes an inquiry once the mind is withdrawn from that. Now we asked several questions here. In the process we need to understand, say, in terms of this as an obstacles is only the ragadveshas, and ragadveshas have to be neutralized in some way, and it's not recommended that you have to go back to karma yoga, upasana yoga. As long as you are in a particular ashrama, you continue those process, but with a clear understanding also. Now you don't get involved in those more than what is required in order to keep the mind in the higher reality. We take some slokas from the 13th chapter of Gita to see what exactly the vairagya means, because the question it is, do I have to do is it required to take a external sannyasa? Sannyasa, vairagyam is sannyasa. Sannyasa is, do I have to take the external or the sannyasa in order to realization? So is it a prerequisite, or is it necessary, or is it helpful? So best answer the Ramana Maharshi gives. In fact, someone went and asked, is it necessary? Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi said, it's not necessary, but it is helpful, provided I cannot get that the vairagyam by staying in that. If it can be possible also. Sometimes you have to take vairagya only when your wife and other people agree for it also. So therefore sometimes they do not agree, therefore you are stuck in that ashram. Therefore question is, what exactly is a vairagya? In the traditional vairagyam, traditional sannyasa, where one leaves the family and takes up the ashrama, where you do not depend upon anything other than the bhiksha. That means you do not have, the infrastructure has been removed, and you don't have bank balance, you don't have any accounts, and in those days those are called parivrajakas. You are not supposed to stay more than 5 days in one particular place, because you get attached otherwise, and therefore you constantly move. That's called parivrajaka. They are helpful to not to get attached to the worldly things, so that the mind can always contemplate on that. But one can get attached to even to the kaupinam. Someone joking said, say, this is my kaupinam, my kamandalam, and so on and so forth. And even though you have given up everything, you can get attached to that. There is a Jadabharata story in the Vedanta, in the Upanishad, where a person, he gave up everything, and at last he saw a deer giving a baby, and the mother died in the process, and he ended up taking care of the small deer. But he was so involved in taking care of that, he get intense attachment, and his mind is always dwelling what is how the small deer is doing, and so on and so forth, to the degree that he was preoccupied with that attachment. That's what the problem is. The raga dveshas is you are developing a new raga dveshas in the process of detachment. So there was a story actually from Gurudev said, because there was when the Benares Hindu University was starting an inauguration, they invited one Swami from Himalayas to come, and the Swami came, and after the inauguration, the time where he was given an accommodation, and when he said, because his Swami, they wanted to make sure he is comfortable, so they have provided a very 5-star hotel where he can stay. But when he saw and went and saw the bed and all that, he says, I cannot sleep on that. I need my whatever the deer skin and all that, and I won't be able to sleep. So if you look at it, so that Swami was attached to deer skin, and he doesn't want that one. So that's not really attached. The vairagyam. Vairagyam is whatever that comes because of the prarabdha, you have to accept as a Ishvara prasadam, whether it's a good or bad. And that's what essentially implication of vairagyam is. Raga dvesha means not only the likes of raga, also you should not have a dvesha also. So it should be a neutralization. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That's what Krishna calls it. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That equanimity of the vision is important, and that's what is actually vairagya. And in the 13th chapter, Krishna says, Indriya artheshu vairagyam anahankara mevacha janma mutyu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So indriya artheshu, in the sense objects, indriya artheshu vairagyam. Vairagyam means I do not depend on that. Doesn't mean that I should hate them. So they are always only a means for me to go beyond. So everything that has to be looked upon as not a sadhyam but only sadhanam. So that includes every object that you are living in the world, including the family also, where later he talks about asaktirana bhishvangaha putradara gruhadishu, where you need a place. So in olden days you are referring to the sannyasa, where they used to give whoever of the bhiksha grahasthas or the duty to take care of the sannyasa. But nowadays that system is not there, where you cannot depend upon bhiksha for, because there are many the bhikshus looking for food, and there are not enough grahasthas to feed them. Therefore, there are ashramas now, their infrastructure is being built up. Now you are getting into a different structure of the sannyasa, where sannyasa, there are missions and missionaries and all that taking care of the sannyasa. There again you are developing another infrastructure where it has to be taken care of, it has to be clean, all other problems again come back. Therefore, one has to be careful in terms of the sannyasa itself as a physical or the bhautika sannyasa. If it is helpful, you have to take it, but one can develop also, but without it also. What is sannyasa required is the mental sannyasa is required. Chage naike amritatva manasahu. Only by giving up you can reach the higher. Giving up is not physically giving up, but it is mentally giving up attachments. So in terms of the 5 aspects, the profession and the possessions and the relationships and the transactions and all other, the body, mind, intellect, everything has to be given up a dependence. They are themselves are not sadhyam. Sadhyam means they are not goals in life. So if everybody says, what is your goal in life? They always take, hey, I want to reach that state, I want to become a millionaire, I want to become this, I want to become this is a goal. And all that are become a sadhyam, that means to be gained, and people struggle hard all the way to gain that. And when it comes that, they will have another sadhyam and they will not be able to enjoy. So a rich man builds a big house and looking around the ocean one side, and all the facilities are there, and a lot of money is there for a lot of food also, but he is not there because he is still going out to get more money. Only the servants enjoy all that beauty. So that is essentially a problem, because I will never be contented with what I have as long as I depend on something other than myself. And that's called the self-dependence on that is what is called the bandhakatvam. Therefore, any dependence on other than myself causes is a doshastrayam, therefore dukkha doshanudarsanam. Therefore, Krishna points out that I had to see the problems involved. At the same time, I had to see the gunas also in that. So that's why raga dvesha should not be there. Not only raga, attachment should not be there, but also I should not be dvesha also. So whatever comes in the way has to be taken as a sadhana only, not sadhyam. Sadhana means a means for me to grow. So is family a burden? Family is a burden if I depend on that, or if if I cannot contemplate or doing the study of the Vedanta, if it becomes a problem, then it is a problem. But I had to do what need to be done so that the family is taken care of. Then I devote extra time on the study of Vedanta. But as the family and children go out, I have now more time as a retirement where I had to involve more and more on this rather than get involved in other projects and get involved in the external things, because now I had to withdraw my mind. Even though physically I may not be able to withdraw, but at least mentally I have to withdraw from essentially, that's what essentially vanaprastham and sannyasam means. Now we don't have we go to a forest, they're not even forests now, we don't have to go to forest in order to do, but I can withdraw myself from indulgence in unnecessary activities, only what need to be done to the minimum to take care of the body, to take care of the dependence to the degree that they need to be, not to their satisfaction, but what has to be done as per the requirement. That need to be done, and whatever the additional time that I have, spare the time for the study of Vedanta and for contemplation and the meditation. That's what becomes a means. So everything becomes a means for me, because recognition that I am in this situation because of my prarabdha. We'll analyze prarabdha later. Because of my prarabdha, I am in that situation. So what I have is prarabdha, and what I do with what I have is purushartha. This is the statement by Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji. So what I have, whether it can be whatever situation I am getting into because of the circumstances, is what I have. That includes the bank balance or lack of bank balance, the family or the lack of family, diseases, old age, all the things that are coming in naturally, and therefore whatever that comes because of the prarabdha, and therefore whatever I have is prarabdha. But what I do with what I have is purushartha. Therefore I have a free will at any circumstances to do, not to do, or to another way. Kartum sakyam, agartum sakyam, anyadha kartum sakyam. But having studied Vedanta and gone through that, now I have the higher values in the mind, so I had to redirect the mind, withdraw the mind, looking at the whole thing that is prarabdha as Ishvara prasadam. Ishvara prasadam means what? If in the temple they give prasadam, where I don't hate it, but I accept it with a reverential attitude. It's not that whether I like it or not. Hey, I don't like this prasadam. Yesterday the prasadam was good. It's not meant for that. Whatever is offered to you, you accept with a reverential attitude. That's what is called prasadam. But prasadam is not what they give in the temple, but prasadam is what comes out of it because of the results of the action, because he is karma paladata. So it comes from him. So whatever that comes in along the life, in terms of day-to-day living, and things are continuously changing, and you have to depend on so many people for any transaction. Recently our refrigerator gone down and we had to wait somebody to come and repair the refrigerator. So I had to depend on somebody else, but that is accepting as it is a part of the prarabdha, is essentially whatever that need to be done has to be done, and not longing for it and going after it with mind preoccupied with that. That's exactly what essentially sannyasa is. So sannyasa is here, the first requirement is the mental sannyasa is essential, and that's called also vidvat sannyasa also, where I'm mentally prepared to give up because I do not depend, they are not the means for me, or they are not the end itself, they are only means for me to grow beyond. So prasadam is helpful to purify my mind. So every circumstance in the situation, whether it's a back pain or this pain or that pain or the family troubles and so on, instead of getting indulged, whatever that comes need to be solved with the mind keeping away. So these are the considered as the test cases where these things are coming, but I should not get worried about it, because whatever that comes, agama paino nityaha tam tidikshasva bharata matra svarshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama paino nityaha tam tidikshasva bharata. In fact, it's almost like a March middle now, so getting very hot in Chennai, and if I go to states, it's very cold there. So Sita, Ushnam, Sukham, Dukkham, they are all keep coming on. If you keep waiting, and it will be very hot and it will be cold, but seasons come and seasons go. Dinayaminyo sayam pratah sasira vasanto punarayataha kala kridate gachatyayahu tadapina benchat ashavayu. So season, day come, day goes, night come, night goes, the calendar keeps changing. 2013 over, 2014 over, 2015 over, will be over pretty soon, and keeps on going. But question is, how much I have utilized this for my growth? That is the bottom line. Everything else is continuously changing, but my mind, whatever in that time, has to take and use this as a means for me to go beyond. So every experience, every transactions can be made useful. So life itself is not a burden, whatever the nature of the life is, whether it is sitting in a very comfortable place or in a miserable place, and one can take it and turn as that is a prasadam, and keep the mind with a reverential attitude and keep the mind in the higher. So it is not the problem with the circumstances. So indriyarteshu vairagyam. So in the indriyarteshu, sense objects, so thoughts will be coming in the mind because of the vasanas. So when the thoughts come in the mind, so question is, should I encourage them or should I discourage them? So if I don't pay attention to it, then obviously they will go away. So when how do I pay not attention? Because they become very strong, and it's very difficult to withdraw mind and keep it. So it says rasabarjam rasopyasya parandrushva nivartate. Krishna himself recognizes this problem. Even I physically give up, thoughts do come into picture, then how do I detach from myself? Rasabarjam parandrushva nivartate. By deliberately putting my mind into the higher values. That's what yato nischarati manas chanchalam astiram. Mind is always chanchalam, continuously want, and it is tuned to or practiced for many lives and lives to go after along with the senses. Senses are all, they outwardly Lord has created the sense to go out only. And now I have to withdraw the mind and the senses also. Therefore, how do I do it? Parandrushva nivartate, by only constantly contemplating deliberately onto the higher reality. So once I recognize that the mind has gone away, that is solving half the problem already, because I already recognize, and most of the time I don't even recognize. Half an hour sitting on meditation and my mind has traveled all over the world. So once I recognize that the mind has gone away, bring it back to the seat of meditation. And this meditation is nididhyasanam, where I keep constantly contemplating. How do I do that? Constantly Shravanam and Mananam, even though I have understood Vedanta, but continuously, constantly attend the classes, attend the satsang, attend all that, essentially constant reflecting on the teaching, because the mind is now preoccupied with that, and the mind is now in the process withdrawn from the other objects. So in either way, contemplating on that, writing on that, teaching on that, talking about it. So other people may say you are addicted to Advaita Vedanta, but actually what you're doing is avoiding every other things and contemplating it. That becomes a sannyasa. So therefore, that is become Tyage Naike Amrutatva Manasu. This constant struggle goes on all the time, and no one is excluded. Whether you live in a house or you go in as a parivrajaka, these problems always will be there. Your problems will be a little bit different, and you will be worried about whether your Kaupinam is safe or not, or your this one Kamandalam is safe or not when you keep it outside or something. All the worries will be something else also. So one fellow went all the way leaving family and ended up there into Himalayas, and ultimately ended up having a family there. So he has not given up, he has given one family and having another family. So that's what essentially, it's not a giving up physically, giving up mentally. And there is one story of the wife and husband, and wife is always praying his brother. This may be a joke, but the wife is always praying his brother. See, my wife is really great. He is a Vedantin, and he always wants to talk about sannyasa, and he is not taking yet, but he is going to take it and all that. Every day she was telling, and the husband was listening to it. He says, that's not the way to take sannyasa. So what do you mean? How do you know? How do you know? You are not even studied anything. How do you know about sannyasa? He says, this is the way to take. He took a towel and left the house. So, talking about sannyasa and doing is not important. Sannyasa is giving up your mental attachment to it. That's what essentially the Krishna started teaching. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukeshu vikataspra. That we have to give up all that. It says, that's why it says panditaha anusochanti, because the whole problem of you are crying there is no reason for you to cry, because these things agama, they keep coming and going, and you are crying where for this which are coming and going only. That understanding has to be recognized, and that is a real sannyasa. That sannyasa is essential, and the external sannyasa, if you can take it, it's helpful. If you can't take it, then live without it, because that's also part of prarabdha. This we stop here, and we'll analyze next in terms of Jivan Mukta. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.